Chapter 3686. Just as Huasiqian lowered his head and was distracted, two silver needles appeared in Huamin's hands out of nowhere. She stretched out her hand and threw the silver needles. Huasiqian didn't expect Huamin to be so nimble. When he saw her before, she still looked weak and delicate. But now she could use so much strength to throw the silver needles several meters away. When Huasiqian was hit by the silver needles, he suddenly realized what was going on. "So, this is your scheme?" Lin Fan was stunned. "There's anesthetic on them. You'll pass out in less than 10 seconds. She was very confident in Huamin's own anesthetic. "Pa, is that so?" After speaking, Huasiqian raised his hand and pulled out the two silver needles that were stuck in his arm one by one. With a clang, he threw them on the ground. Huamin counted to 10 in his heart. The anesthetic was so strong that even an elephant would feel it, let alone a living person. But 10 seconds passed and Huasiqian was still standing there. "Are you surprised that I'm fine?" Huamin was indeed surprised. "That's because someone injected something into my body. Your anesthetic doesn't work on me." After speaking, Huasiqian suddenly pounced on him. Huamin reacted quickly and dodged to the side. But after all, she was a few months pregnant and was still a little heavy. Just this one move was enough to make her pant. She knew that if she continued to deal with Huasiqian like this, she would really be done for. Would the child be in danger? Huamin tried to calm himself down and think of a solution. Just then, the door was suddenly kicked open from the outside. The person who came in raised his gun and fired. But Huasiqian, also known as Jack, reacted quickly and dodged. "Hubby," seeing that it was Qin Chu, Huamin was completely relieved. Qin Chu glanced at Huamin. Seeing that she was fine, he was finally relieved. Then he continued to fire at Huasiqian. Huasiqian and his men had probably done something to the room long ago. That was why when he saw Qin Chu enter, he was shocked. Then he slipped out of the side door. However, this was the sea. No matter how he ran, there was no way he could leave the cruise ship. "You guys continue the chase. Search floor by floor. If you see any dangerous people, kill them without asking for permission." Qin Chu ordered coldly. "Yes, President Qin." A few highly skilled bodyguards followed his orders and chased after him. Qin Chu hurried over and picked up Huamin. "Honey, are you okay?" "I'm fine. You came just in time." "Ha, otherwise I would have been in trouble. How can you still laugh?" Qin Chu was furious. This woman was getting more and more out of control. He was almost scared to death, but she was still laughing here. "I'm fine, aren't I?" "Hubby, how did you know I was in danger here?" "When I went to find Ye Lingxian, I thought it might be a trap. So, I came back to ask the bodyguards to protect you. But I didn't expect to find you missing. Ning said she saw you coming toward the dressing room." "I see. Hubby, you're so smart. I have to give you a thumbs up." "Don't give me that. When we get home, I'll teach you a lesson." Qin Chu's face was dark. "By the way, did you find Ye Lingxian?" "Not yet." Qin Chu shook his head. "Hubby, she's with Huasiqian. Many of them must be on the cruise ship. What should we do now?" "I think everyone here is in danger." Huamin had a lot on her mind. If everyone was in danger because of her birthday party, she would feel guilty. She suddenly regretted it. Why did she have to celebrate this stupid birthday? Chapter 3687. There should be more people on the ship, Qin Chu concluded after thinking for a while. "What do you mean?" "Honey, do you mean there are more people?" Qin Chu didn't speak and just nodded. Huamin frowned slightly. The situation seemed to be getting more and more complicated. He had thought that Huasiqian and his accomplices were on the ship, but now it seemed that more people with complicated identities had sneaked in. Their target should be Huamin. At least for now, Huamin was the most valuable person on the ship. "Honey, it's windy here. Let's talk somewhere else." Qin Chu picked up a blanket from the dressing room and put it on Huamin. Then he held her and walked out of the room. Huamin was puzzled. Why didn't the strong anesthetic he made work on Huasiqian? Did he take the antidote in advance? Didn't make sense. How could there be an antidote for the anesthetic? And Ye Lingxian, whose temperament changed drastically tonight. She didn't look like she had lost her memory, but she was different from before. Could it be that she was being threatened? Was she forced to do this? Huamin had a lot of questions in his mind, but he couldn't ask them. Because Qin Chu's meaning was obvious. Besides Huasiqian, there were people from other forces on the ship. So he had to be careful when talking to Qin Chu because he didn't know who was eavesdropping on him. At this moment, Zheng Ro was talking to her superior secretly in a corner of the room. Chief, that's what happened. So Hua Xiqian is really on the ship? The chief asked. Yes. I've been eavesdropping on Huamin, so I know everything that happened in the dressing room. I'm sure it's Hua Xiqian. No one in the world would mistake Huamin for someone else. Trust me, Chief. Zheng Ro reported excitedly. After such a long time she finally got something. Hua Xiqian is here. Then the force behind him. The chief paused. Could it be Ian and Nalo? Did they come to China as well? No, there's no way I wouldn't know about them entering the country. Plus, the people who saved Hua Xiqian last time couldn't have been Ian and the others. By the way, Chief, I just heard Huamin told Hua Xiqian that Lu Yan is here. I don't know if it's true or if he's lying. Huamin say that himself. Yes. He said it himself. But I didn't get any news that Lu Yan has entered the country. You know Lu Yan is very resourceful. She might have used some other means. Then have you found any suspicious people now? If Lu Yan is here she'll show up. Then I'll keep an eye on Huamin. If Lu Yan is here she'll go to her sister. Once you find Lu Yan, report to me immediately. Yes, Chief. Keep in touch. After reporting, Zheng Ro felt much better. After keeping an eye on Huamin for so long she finally made some progress. Now she just had to wait for Lu Yan to show up. When Qin Chu and Huamin returned to the hall, they acted as if nothing had happened. The performance on the stage was still going on and everyone was engrossed in it. Huamin picked up his cell phone and sent a message in the private group. Hua Xiqian and his accomplices are on the ship. We're trying to capture them. It's dangerous outside. Don't leave the hall. What's going on? Tang Chuan felt like his head was going to explode. What did it mean for Hua Xiqian to sneak in on such a day mean? Chapter 3688. Gao Ran, are you guys okay? Huamin, we're fine. Jiang Shaowei, when did this happen? How long has he been here? Huamin, I'm not sure. Should have been a long time. Wei Liao, it's just Hua Xiqian. I don't think we're scared. There are so many people here. Qin Chu, he's not alone. He has accomplices. Wei Liao, how many? Huamin, I'm not sure, but Nye Lingxian is one. Suyu, what? Suyu thought he saw wrong or that Huamin had typed wrong. Huamin, you're right. Nye Lingxian is Hua Xiqian's accomplice. Suyu, that's impossible. Nye Lingxian isn't that kind of person. I know her character. Huamin, Lord Su, it's not about her character now. Nye Lingxian's matter. It's complicated. Even I don't understand it. Anyway, she's a dangerous person now. Please be vigilant. Zhu Lingling, damn it. Hua Xiqian, that bastard still dares to come back. I'm going to chop him into pieces. He bullied me on for so long and now he's here to cause trouble. Zhu Lingling and Huamin had known each other for many years. Back then she knew that Hua Xiqian always harassed Huamin. That was why she didn't like that psycho. Now that she heard that he still dared to come back and cause trouble at a time like this, she was furious. Gao Ran, honey, calm down. Zhu Lingling, I can't calm down. I have to kill this bastard today to prevent future trouble. Gao Ran, as the family of a high-ranking officer in the Public Security Bureau, you shouldn't kill this and that. It's not good. Zhu Lingling, I'm willing to. If you don't like it you can resign. Gao Ran, Huamin, ahem. Excuse me guys, this isn't the time to argue. I've discussed it with Mr. Qin. We must tell everyone about this as soon as possible. Hua Xiqian's target. I think he's after me but I can't guarantee that he won't hurt my friends. Mr. Qin's already asked the bodyguards protect the 4 children and the elderly. Tang Chuan, what's important now isn't whether he can escape or not, but how many accomplices he has. If they really do something extreme such as planting bombs on our cruise ship, we're done for. Master Tang's imagination was running wild. Huamian was silent. Should we dock the ship and evacuate the people? Qin Chu, I've already asked people to check. There are no custom-made bombs. Don't worry. Hua Xiqian doesn't even have a gun. So we don't need to panic. We can't dock the ship. That will make it easier for them to escape. Gao Ran, Chu, are you saying that we're going to catch a turtle in a jar? Qin Chu, we can't let him go. Hua Xiqian is no longer scary. What's scary is the power behind him. Jiang Shaowei, I agree with Mr. Qin. Huasiqian is a disaster. We can't hide from him. We have to eliminate him. Suyu, leave it to me and the two of us are enough to deal with Huasiqian. The ship is only so big. He can't run anywhere. Huamin was about to refuse when Qin Chu agreed. I'll leave Huasiqian and Yelingxian to you. If you run into them you have to be careful. Suyu nodded. Huamin looked at Qin Chu. Honey, you've left Huasiqian to Suyu and what about us? We have more important things to do, Qin Chu said mysteriously. Chapter 3689. Zhu Lingling, don't tell me the two of you are still going on a date? Gao Ran, don't worry honey. Even if they go on a date there's nothing they can't do. After all, Dr. Hua is so pregnant. Huamin, Qin Chu, the two of you are so filthy. Huamin, Director Gao, ever since you married Miss Zhu Lingling, you've become filthy. Zhu Lingling, no. Don't think too highly of him. He's always been filthy. I'm the one who brought out the filthy side of him. Gao Ran, honey, we agreed to fight against the enemy together. Why did you betray me first? Suyu, why are you still talking nonsense at a time like this? Hurry up and go clean the house. Gao Ran, I'll go clean the house with Lord Su and the others. You guys have to be careful. Huasiqian. Oh no, it should be Jack. He's Huasiqian's second personality now. I gave him 2 shots of anesthesia but nothing happened. That's why I think there's something wrong with his body. You guys have to be careful. Don't worry. I'll take care of that piece of trash. Suyu stood up and stretched his neck. And, boss, let's take it easy. It's not like you haven't fought him one-on-one before. It was quite difficult for you. Suyu looked embarrassed. Ahem. Didn't I fight Huasiqian's first personality? It's not his second personality. Suyu tried to save his face. From what I've seen, his second personality is much stronger than his first personality, Huamin added. Suyu covered his face and rushed out. He didn't say anything in the group anymore. Yes, their goal was simple. They just had to capture Huasiqian. Huamin, Lingling, Xiaowei, Ningning, you guys stay with the kids. Don't leave the living room. It's safer here. Jiang Xiaowei, okay. Zhu Lingling, got it. Qin Ning, don't worry sister-in-law. I'll protect my nieces. Tang Chuan, sister-in-law, what about me and Old Wei? Take some people and check the surveillance footage again. See if we missed anything. Also, be on guard if you meet any suspicious people. Tang Chuan, okay. Wei Liao, don't worry, leave it to us. Sis Jixin and I can help too. It was Ni Yang who said this. This kid usually didn't talk much, but at critical moments he was very reliable. All of you should stay here and bide your time. It's not a good time to have more people. After all, we still don't know how many enemies there are, Huamin ordered. Okay, then we'll keep in touch through WeChat. Ni Yang nodded. Hubby, you just said that we have other things to do. What is it? Come with me. Then Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and stood up. Watching them walk out, Zheng Ro put on her earphones and prepared to continue eavesdropping on their conversation. She followed them out, but when she turned around they were gone. Which floor did they go to? Zheng Ro paced back and forth anxiously. Not far from her, about 5 meters away, Qin Chu and Huamin were watching from a corner. Seeing Zheng Ro follow them, Huamin understood what was going on. She looked at Qin Chu and was about to speak when Mr. Qin shook his head slightly at her. She didn't say a word. Hearing no sound from the eavesdropping device, Zheng Ro thought it was broken. She took off her earphones and checked them. Seeing this, Huamin realized that Zheng Ro had been eavesdropping on them the whole time. Then who was she working for? Ian, Nalo, or Huasiqian's mysterious people? Or could it be another new force? Chapter 3690. After all, Zheng Ro wasn't a professional spy. She was easily found out. She failed because she wasn't calm enough. When Zheng Ro gave up tracking the couple and turned back, Qin Chu had a magnet in his hand. He touched Huamin's hair closely. Then he sucked out something that looked like an ant. If one didn't look closely they wouldn't have noticed it. Then Qin Chu glanced at the object in his palm and threw it into the vast sea. When did you start suspecting Zheng Ro? Huamin looked at her husband in surprise. I've always suspected her. Then how did you know that she planted a bug on me? You even know the location of the bug. Also, didn't you install an anti-eavesdropping device on me? How could I still be eavesdropped on? What should we do if she heard everything we said before? Honey, you have so many questions. Which one should I answer first? Qin Chu smiled gently. How can you still smile? God, I'm dying of anxiety. Huamin panicked. She had suspected Zheng Ro, but she hadn't realized that she had been tricked. So Zheng Ro had heard their conversation, including their conversation with Huasiqian? God, don't worry. Before answering these questions, I'll take you to see someone. Then you'll understand. Okay. Huamin didn't know what Qin Chu was up to, so she didn't ask. After the couple threw away the bugging device, Zheng Ro couldn't continue monitoring them. But she still didn't know what went wrong. After all, her plan was flawless. Qin Chu led Huamin toward the bow of the ship, Southeast Asia. Ian stared at the screen on the tablet and narrowed his eyes slightly. What are they going to do? He asked. Maybe after discovering that woman's listening device, he's going to confront her? Ian's men guessed. But on the screen, Qin Chu and Huamin suddenly disappeared. Where are they? Ian froze. They were here a moment ago. His men were also panicking. Get me all the surveillance cameras. Didn't you say there were no blind spots? I have to find them. Ian was panicking. Things seemed to be getting out of his control. Other than his men, Huasiqian, his accomplices, and the woman named Zheng Ro were all from other forces. Therefore he absolutely could not let others beat him to it and snatch away the person he wanted. Ian searched through the images one by one, but to no avail. Qin Chu and Huamin were right under his nose. And they couldn't be found in the surveillance cameras. My lord, did they disguise themselves so that we can't recognize them? Idiot. How can they put makeup in such a short time? Something must have gone wrong? What should we do? Keep looking. I don't believe that two living people can disappear on a ship for no reason. This isn't transmigration. Ian was also incredulous. Because it was remotely controlled, he didn't know what happened on the ship. Qin Chu and Huamin didn't disappear. They were still on the ship. But the two of them disappeared from the surveillance cameras. Why was that? Because someone had tampered with the surveillance cameras. The purpose was simple. They didn't want anyone to see their whereabouts on the surveillance cameras. Inside the cockpit, Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and walked in. Then he saw the old captain steering the ship seriously. Man, look at who he is. Qin Chu's voice seemed a little mischievous. The captain turned around. It was an unfamiliar face. Huamin had never seen him before. It was the face of an old man in his 60s, wearing a white captain's uniform. But when he smiled at Huamin so lovingly, Huamin wanted to cry. Chapter 3691. Huamin's memory was amazing. She could remember everything she wanted to remember. So when the captain smiled, the floodgates of her memories immediately erupted. She opened her mouth excitedly but couldn't make a sound. She didn't know if someone was listening in. Was it safe? As if reading her mind, Qin Chu reminded her in a low voice. It's safe here. Say whatever you want. Only then did Huamin call out to the old man, Dad? Yes, this man was the professor. Although he looked different, Huamin would never forget that smile. The captain slowly took off his hat, walked over and hugged his daughter. Happy birthday, child. Dad, why are you here? Huamin was so happy that she cried. She never dreamed that her father would come here to celebrate her birthday on this ship. She didn't receive any news before. Even Yen wasn't sure if the professor would come, let alone the professor. I haven't celebrated your birthday for so many years. Came to see you. The professor's original voice was also old. Then, when did you get on the ship? 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago? Huamin was surprised. The ship was in the middle of the sea, but no planes landed. How did her father get on? Then you are. Huamin was so excited and nervous that she stuttered. I swam here with Dad. A crisp voice sounded. Huamin looked in the direction of the washroom. At this moment, Lu Yen was leaning against the door. She was still holding a lollipop in her mouth. She was still wearing the crew's sailor suit. But she had long black hair and was extremely beautiful. Yen, Huamin's eyes lit up. There were so many surprises one after another. Huamin didn't know how to describe her feelings at this moment. Come on, birthday girl, blow out the candles and make a wish. Lu Yen got a cake from somewhere. Although it looked ugly, one could still tell it was a cake. There was a candle on it and Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you really want to do this? Huamin smiled with tears in his eyes. Of course. Don't everyone celebrate their birthdays like this? As for this cake, it's my first time making it. Holy shit, I didn't expect that I'm such a genius. I can make bombs to perfection, but I can't make a cake like this. Ha, you made this. Huamin burst into laughter. What do you think? Would I be stupid enough to buy such a cake? Hearing that the cake was made by Lu Yen, Huamin closed his eyes and made a wish without hesitation. Then she opened her eyes and said something rather shocking. Shouldn't the three of you sing me a happy birthday song? Qinchu was speechless. Lu Yen, Professor, both Chinese and English are fine. I don't mind. Huamin chuckled. Just don't push it. I'm afraid that after we finish singing, those people will turn the sky upside down. Lu Yen chuckled. Did you and Dad really swim here? Huamin couldn't believe it. Of course. Lu Yen crossed her arms. Bullshit, we're thousands of miles away from the States. Do you think you're a turtle that swims around? Huamin looked like he wasn't a kid and didn't want her to lie to him. Lu Yen was exasperated. She pointed at Qinchu. Brother-in-law, since my sister is pregnant and doesn't have a high IQ, please explain the process. I don't want to repeat it. Chapter 3692. Qinchu nodded and put his arm around Huamin's shoulder. Yen and Dad took a private plane and then transferred to a submarine. When they were 1 kilometer away from our cruise ship, they got out of the submarine and swam over. They didn't want to be discovered. Huamin was dumbfounded. Then, the plane and the submarine are so big. How can they not be discovered? Huamin was astonished. They both have the ability to block radar detection. It's the legendary invisibility. You guys have worked hard. Huamian looked at her father and Yen. They had done this just to see her on such a special day. It was a long and arduous journey from the plane to the submarine and then to the cruise ship. After boarding the cruise ship, you guys stayed in the cabin and disguised yourselves as the captain and a sailor? Huamin understood. That's right. Lu Yen nodded briskly. Did Yen tell you that Xing Ro eavesdropped on us? Huamin turned to look at Qinchu. Now he understood what had happened. Yes. Qinchu hadn't expected Xing Ro to eavesdrop on Huamin. More importantly, Zheng Ro had brought advanced technology for military use. He wasn't prepared for it. When Lu Yen got on board, the first thing she checked was the eavesdropping device. Then she quickly notified Qinchu and got rid of the things on Huamin. And then, the scene of the reunion just now happened. Sis, in order to see you, Dad and I really racked our brains. You have to treat us well. Tell me, what do you want to eat? I can get it for you. Even tangsing meat will do. Huamin couldn't suppress his excitement and took Lu Yan's hand. Tangsing meat is fine. I bragged to Dad that my sister makes good dumplings. Yes, yes, yes. I'll make dumplings now. Huamin turned to look at Qinchu. Honey, I'll go get you the ingredients. Wait for me here. Qinchu naturally knew what Huamin wanted to say. Dad, are you okay? Huamin hadn't seen the professor for a long time. Thinking back to the last time, it was at an amusement park in the United States. At that time they didn't interact with each other. Later on they only spoke on the phone a few times. The last time the professor came back to perform surgery on Qinchu, Huamin was still imprisoned on a deserted island by Huasiqian. Therefore this was the first real meeting between father and daughter. Huamin even felt that this scene had only appeared in his dreams. Good. I'm fine. You're about to give birth, right? The professor looked at his eldest daughter's swollen belly, and his heart was filled with emotions. Dad, didn't I tell you it's a boy? Where's your grandson? Lu Yen deliberately showed off. It's good to have a boy and a girl. It's a blessing to have both children. The professor was touched and nodded vigorously. At this moment Huamin suddenly remembered something and asked Lu Yen. Yen, why are you here alone? Where's Qiao Fei? Chapter 3693. Maybe she doesn't dare to come because she knows our boss won't let her go. So she thinks I won't dare to do anything to her in Las Vegas? They have a lot of bodyguards. Plus, after Qiao Nan disappeared, the Qiao family values Qiao Fei. If we do something now, we'll alert them. Ian didn't say anything. He picked up a glass of red wine and swirled it. His subordinate continued to speak in fluent German. Plus, we have an agreement with the American mafia that we can't fight in the casino. If they find out, we'll be in a very difficult situation. I think it's better to capture her sister rather than spend the effort to capture Lu Yen. After all, that woman is easier to capture. Do you think the ZG government is free? Ian asked coldly. At least it's easier than capturing Lu Yen. Our people are lying in ambush nearby and we can monitor the cruise ship. So, we have a better chance. Really? Then tell me, why did the two people disappear from the surveillance footage? Ian thought it was strange that Qin Chu and Hua Min disappeared from the surveillance footage. We're asking hackers to investigate. Don't worry, boss. In the cabin, Hua Min used the ingredients Qin Chu brought back to make dumplings for his dad and Lu Yen. She never thought that such a happy moment would come so quickly. Sis, Dad and I miss them so much. Do you want to bring them over? Lu Yen couldn't help but ask. Not now. The two kids are too obvious. Let's wait until everything is over. I'll bring the kids to see Grandpa. Qin Chu didn't want to go to the lobby to pick up the kids, even though he understood his father-in-law and sister-in-law's eagerness to see the kids. The professor nodded. Chu is right. We'll talk about it later. Hey, I'll help you. How did you make these dumplings? Lu Yen walked to her sister's side playfully. Forget it. Miss Lu, if you reach out, I'm afraid my dumplings will explode. Lu Yen. The professor and Qin Chu both smiled and enjoyed watching the sisters bicker. Ian's worry was justified. Lu Yen had indeed tampered with the surveillance footage. Therefore, even if a hacker came to investigate, it would be very difficult for him to find traces unless he was a top-notch hacker. He assumed that the two of them were hiding on purpose. There was a reason why Qin Chu had asked Su Yu and the others to look for Hua Xiqian. If Hua Xiqian saw that Su Yu and the others had come to deal with him, he would underestimate them and think that there were no other forces on the ship. This way it would be easier to catch him. Of course, these were all strategies that Qin Chu and Lu Yen came up with. Hua Min didn't know about them. After being chased by Qin Chu, Hua Xiqian hid in the storage room on the 3rd floor of the cruise ship. Su Yu, Shaoan and Gao Ran were more than enough to deal with Hua Xiqian. President Su, Chief Gao, be careful. The space here is rather narrow and winding. Okay. Everyone be careful. They slowly went up to the 3rd floor. At this moment, Nye Lingxian suddenly walked out of the lounge. She had changed into a golden evening gown. In her hand was the latest LV luxury bag. Her manager was right beside her. Miss Nye, are you cold? I'll get you a jacket. No need. Therefore, when Nye Lingxian and Su Yu met, both of them froze. President Su, did you come here to see me? Nye Lingxian smiled. Su Yu didn't think much of Nye Lingxian, but Qin Chu and Hua Min had emphasized in the group chat that there was something wrong with her. Therefore, the three of them didn't dare to let their guard down. Where is Hua Xiqian hiding? Su Yu looked at Nye Lingxian and asked coldly. Chapter 3694. President Su, are you out of your mind? Who's Hua Xiqian? Nye Lingxian pretended not to know him. Stop pretending. I know why you came back. President Su, what are you talking about? I don't understand a word you said. Nye Lingxian turned around and asked her agent with a smile. Do you understand? The agent shook her head. Then she looked at Su Yu. President Su, Miss Nye is very tired from the long-distance flight. She just rested in her room for a while. Did something happen on the ship? Su Yu looked at Nye Lingxian and then turned to An Gao Ran. You two continue searching. I want to talk to her. Okay. And nodded and continued to search the rooms on the 3rd floor with Gao Ran. Nye Lingxian's agent saw that the two of them were about to talk, so she found a chance to go to the bathroom. The two of them looked at each other with a few meters between them. President Su, what do you want to talk to me about? Nye Lingxian sneered. Do you remember how many years you've been at Imperial Star? Of course. Then do you remember when our anniversary is? Haha, why? Are you testing me? President Su, you're too childish. If I'm not Nye Lingxian, can you find someone who looks exactly like me in the world? That's hard to say. Other than looking like her, you don't look like her at all. The Nye Lingxian I know isn't as personality as you. People change, President Su. Don't forget what you did to me. After hearing her words, Su Yu was confused again. He did feel guilty toward this woman. Nye Lingxian was considered the most virtuous female artist in Imperial Star. She never had any scandals, never flirted with male actors and didn't even take on sex scenes, nude scenes or kissing scenes. She liked Su Yu wholeheartedly but she didn't get any response. Su Yu also felt that he was responsible for her quitting the entertainment industry and going abroad. So after Nye Lingxian said this he was really confused again. Judging from her sad eyes, it should be Nye Lingxian. What? President Su, are you feeling guilty? Do you feel guilty? Nie Lingxian saw that Su Yu was in a daze, so she took the opportunity to talk and walk forward. Su Yu looked up. I do feel a little guilty, but there's no right or wrong when it comes to relationships. So, don't use my guilt to trap me for the rest of my life. That's right. Why would I trap you for the rest of your life? I'm not the one who trapped you for the rest of your life. It's Huamin. Nie Lingxian suddenly mentioned Huamin, which caught Su Yu off guard. His mind wandered again. While he was distracted, Nie Lingxian suddenly dashed forward. A shiny dagger had appeared in his hand out of nowhere. By the time Su Yu reacted, it was already too late. So even if he dodged, his ribs were still cut by the dagger. Su Yu's hand that was covering the wound was stained with blood. You really aren't her. Su Yu knew that Nie Lingxian didn't know any martial arts at all. It was impossible for her to be so agile. Moreover, according to Nie Lingxian's personality, even if she hated Su Yu, she wouldn't use a knife. So Huamin and Qin Chu were right. There was something wrong with this woman. Unfortunately, he was careless and distracted just now. You're really good. I didn't even stab you. The woman with the dagger sneered. Without saying anything, Su Yu flew up. There weren't many people who could fight Su Yu one-on-one. He was already a martial arts master when he was in the army. Even Huasiqian, who was so physically strong, was no match for Su Yu. Not to mention this woman in front of him. After a few moves, the woman was obviously struggling and was pressed to the ground by Su Yu. Tell me, where is Huasiqian? Su Yu didn't show any mercy this time. He pressed down on the woman's arm and interrogated. Chapter 3695. With your current strength, you're no match for him even if you find him. Bullshit, it's not like I haven't fought with him before. Obviously, Su Yu was enraged by the woman's words and cursed out loud. At this moment he heard the sound of a scuffle. When Su Yu turned around, Nie Lingxian suddenly knocked her head hard against Su Yu's. The two of them bumped into each other. Su Yu felt like he was going to see stars. He thought that Nie Lingxian was going to take the opportunity to run away. He didn't expect her to knock him out. Fuck, it hurts so much. What kind of trick is this? Is she going to die together? Su Yu touched his head and tears were about to fall from his eyes. He looked down at the unconscious woman. He was dumbfounded. At this moment he couldn't care less about the pain. He got up, covered his head and walked towards the room where the sound came from. As expected, Gao Ran and An were already fighting with Huasiqian. President Su, you're injured? And turned around and saw that there was blood on Su Yu's ribs. It was even dripping down. He was terrified. It's fine, just a superficial wound. Where's the woman? Gao Ran asked. She fainted. With that, Su Yu picked up a wooden chair in the corner of the room. He threw it at Huasiqian's body. If it were an ordinary person, they wouldn't be able to stand up even if they didn't faint. But to everyone's surprise, Huasiqian was shorter, but he could still continue fighting. Fuck, is he still human? Su Yu was stunned. Neon said that he's a little strange. Let's be careful, Gao Ran reminded them. Then Su Yu and Gao Ran blocked Huasiqian in the storage room on the 3rd floor. The space wasn't very big, but it was about 18 square meters. The distance between the four of them was not very far. Everyone was on high alert. It had to be said that Huasiqian was very agile. Fighting 1 against 3, he didn't seem to be strenuous at all. Instead, it made Gao Ran and the others a little breathless. Did Qin Chu only send the 3 of you? Huasiqian smiled evilly. Fuck off. You still have the face to call us trash. Who are you? Don't you have any fucking idea in your heart? Su Yu was already hot-tempered. After being provoked like this, he immediately became angry. Jack, right? You're dead meat today. This was the first time Gao Ran talked to Huasiqian's second personality so directly. It had to be said that his gaze was indeed different from the Huasiqian of the past. His personality, condition, and even some familiar body movements were different. This wasn't something that could be faked. Huamin said that this wasn't Huasiqian. This was his second personality. That was why he sent 3 masters to fight at once. He didn't expect to be looked down upon by this guy. Chief Gao, you came at the right time. We have an account to settle. You were also involved in the prison incident, right? Gao Ran knew that he was talking about how he and Qin Chu worked together to kill him. Okay, if you have the ability, let's settle it properly. Gao Ran wiped the sweat from the corner of his mouth and smiled. You, a police officer, actually used despicable means to kill a criminal. Do you think you're worthy of your reputation? Jack mocked. There are differences in how police officers deal with people. For people like you who are a threat to society, I have the obligation to destroy you. Gao Ran had a strong sense of justice. Old Gao, don't talk nonsense with him. Let's go together. If we can capture him alive, then we'll capture him alive. If we can't, then we'll destroy him. Su Yu had lost his patience and was eager to try. Chapter 3696. You three scumbags. In your dreams. Then the four of them started fighting again. Inside the cockpit. Huimin had already made dozens of dumplings. She had always helped her mother when she was young. So she was very familiar with it, especially today she was making dumplings for her beloved family. Huimin was doing very well and Qin-Chu was just helping from the side. Occasionally he would talk to the professor. The professor valued this son-in-law very much. Huimin and Lu Yan were also chatting happily. So, Yan, you asked Xiao Fei to take the person who disguised as you to Las Vegas? That's the only way that idiot Ian will believe it. But what if they attack Xiao Fei and your double? Huimin was a little worried. No sis, don't worry. Las Vegas is the territory of the American mafia. Those Americans aren't to be trifled with. Ian isn't that stupid. Even if he wants to attack, he'll wait until Xiao Fei and them leave the casino. He can't open fire there. Did Xiao Fei agree to do this? Huimin felt that this method was ridiculous. At first he was adamantly against it, but then I coerced him. Thinking of this, Lu Yan couldn't help but laugh. After all, Psycho Qiao doted on her. Even though he missed her, he knew that she wanted to celebrate her sister's birthday with him, so he forced himself to take the double to Las Vegas. Xiao Fei is really good. Yan, don't be too pretentious. If I don't, I won't be Lu Yan. Yan, you just said that Ian installed a lot of cameras on the boat, right? Yeah, that guy is a peeping Tom. Then don't worry, I've already done something. From the moment Dad and I came up, he saw what I wanted him to see. That's good. Sis, your identity has been exposed and you're still so high profile on your birthday. Aren't you just making Dad and me worry? If I didn't do this, you wouldn't have come. Okay, so you set this up to lure Dad and me here. The two sisters were laughing and joking. The professor's eyes gradually warmed as he watched from the side. How many times had he imagined this heartwarming scene? His two daughters had already grown up. They lived a quiet life by his side, playing and laughing together. If only Linya was still here. That would be great. At the mention of Linya, the professor felt sad again. At this moment, Lu Yan received a private message in her earpiece. After listening carefully, she suddenly asked in a serious tone, Sis, how long will it take to cook the dumplings? At least 15 minutes. Right, that's enough. With that, Lu Yan put on her mask and hat and walked out. Xiaoyan, where are you going? I'll help you clean up the trash. Before Huimin could ask further questions, Lu Yan opened the cabin door and ran out. She was so fast that Huimin couldn't even look at her. Daddy, she's fine. Keep cooking the dumplings. She'll be back before the dumplings are ready. The professor seemed to know Lu Yan well and wasn't worried at all. Honey, do you want to help? Huimin was still worried. If even Lu Yan can't handle it, what can I do? Qin-Chu couldn't help but chuckle and pinch Huimin's face. When Lu Yan went, the situation was indeed at its worst. And Su Yu and Gao Ran were all injured. Suddenly, a sharp weapon appeared in Hu Xiqian's hand. It was a perverted thing that looked like a bamboo tube, but it could shoot out steel wire ropes that were especially sharp. It was obviously a specially designed weapon. Although it wasn't as good as a gun, it was very aggressive. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your hard work. Now, it's my turn. Lu Yan walked in with a mask on. However, when he heard her familiar voice, Xiaoan was shaken. Chapter 3697. And wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and his eyes lit up. You're in heat. Su Yu turned around and saw An looking at the mysterious masked person with infatuation. He was also puzzled. She is, and was extremely excited. Before he could finish, the three of them were attracted by the sound. When Lu Yan came in, she was barehanded. Therefore, facing Hu Xiqian, who had an improved weapon, she was definitely at a disadvantage. Gao Ran and Su Yu were all experts in hand-to-hand combat. However, even with all of them combined, they had no chance of winning. It was obvious that Hua Xiqian's weapon was a huge threat. Another one who wants to die. Humph. Jack sneered. Die. You're talking about yourself, right? Lu Yen stretched out her hands unhurriedly. At this moment, everyone noticed that she was wearing a thin silver glove. Jack's weapon stabbed at Lu Yen, and the steel wire inside twisted in the air like a snake. Be careful. And couldn't help but remind her. He was really afraid that she would get hurt in front of him. Even though he knew that she was invincible, he still broke out in cold sweat for her. Lu Yen watched the steel wire fly toward her and caught it with her bare hands. Then she pulled hard. Jack was sent flying into the air by her. He flew in the air and landed heavily. That glove seems very powerful. It can withstand the steel wire, Gao Ran muttered to himself. The three men could only watch this soul-stirring duel from the sidelines. Jack, who was thrown to the ground by Lu Yen, reacted quickly. After falling to the ground, he got up and rushed up again without frowning. The steel wire danced in the air at an extremely fast speed. However, Lu Yen wasn't restrained at all. Instead, her movements became more agile. And had seen Lu Yen fight before. This wasn't the first time. But in the past he used to deal with street gangsters and didn't use any skills. This time and was completely dumbfounded. Lu Yen was extremely fast. Sometimes you couldn't even see how she attacked. Jack was knocked to the ground. Such good skills. You are. Jack narrowed his eyes and looked at the person in front of him, as if he already had an answer in his heart. Lu Yen was still wearing her sailor uniform, but she was still petite compared to the man. Because he was wearing a human skin mask, his eyes and nose were not very eye-catching. Because he was wearing a black mask, his facial features couldn't be seen clearly. The hat covered her original long hair. Even Su Yu and Gao Ran couldn't recognize Lu Yen, let alone Jack. Jack didn't say anything. Lu Yen grabbed the steel wire with both hands and twisted it in the air. Jack was brought to the ground by the inertia. Before he could get up, Lu Yen stomped on his back. Then he used his right knee to viciously kick down. Lu Yan's sudden burst of strength made Jack spit out a mouthful of blood. This person is too strong. Is he Chu's helper? Gao Ran's heart skipped a beat as he watched. Too fucking awesome. He's practically beating up that pervert. At this moment, Su Yu was full of admiration for this mysterious person. Of course he didn't know that it was Lu Yen. Chapter 3698. Tell me, where's your master? Whose dog are you now? Lu Yen looked down at Jack impolitely. Subdued and wounded, Jack was pinned under Lu Yan's body and tortured. He had a smile on his face. You don't deserve to know my master. Do you believe that I have 10,000 ways to make you wish you were dead? Do you want to try them all? Lu Yen thought it was possible to extort confessions with words and deeds. When necessary, it had to be done. Hee. But I have to remind you, before you try to force confessions out of me, you'd better check on Qin Chu's twins. What did you do to them? Lu Yan's heart skipped a beat. The twins were her sister's and brother-in-law's treasures as well as her father's. They're holding the plush dolls I gave them. What did you put in them? Lu Yen raised her fist, wanting to beat the bastard to death. Of course you're good at it. Boom. Jack laughed exaggeratedly, mimicking the sound of an explosion. Impossible. No one can bring a bomb on the ship. Qin Chu had told Lu Yen that there were high-end scanners on the ship. If someone brought a bomb, it would sound the alarm. If the twins really had a bomb on them, the alarm would have sounded long ago. You're smart, but you're stupid now. Of course, I can't get on the ship with a bomb, but I can bring raw materials and make a bomb myself. Hearing this, Lu Yan's heart sank. She turned on the microphone so that her father could hear the conversation through the earpiece. The professor was calm and didn't show any emotion. Huamin was still happily making dumplings. The professor said to Qin Chu in a low voice, "Go and bring the twins here." Qin Chu nodded and turned to leave. Then the professor turned on a function on his watch, and the images on the ship turned into static in all the surveillance cameras. What's going on? Ian frowned when he saw the static on the screen. Sir, our hacker said someone interfered with the signal. Is Lu Yen here? Impossible. Lu Yen is still in Las Vegas. This is the scene in the casino. His subordinate came over with another tablet. Ian looked at it carefully. Lu Yen and Xiao Fei were playing baccarat with many people at the table. They never left. Then what's going on? Could it be that Qin Chu discovered our surveillance device? Destroyed? Ian guessed. Sir, do you want our men to investigate? No, don't act rashly. Let's wait for a while. Ian didn't dare to let his men move. After all, his men weren't on the ship. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. Lu Yen knew that with her dad's help, no matter how powerful the bomb was, it would be easily solved. Therefore he punched Jack in the face again. Idiot, don't you have a bomb? You can press the remote control. Go ahead and explode. Hee, I know you have experts. Those bombs won't be a problem. Since you know, why are you still doing this? Don't you feel bored? Let's see how you're going to escape today. Lu Yen had always looked down on this psychopath, so she wanted to strangle him to death. I know I can't escape, but I can fight with you. Then Jack pressed a button and a beeping sound came out. Run! And yelled anxiously. Lu Yen pounced out almost instantly, then thick white smoke rose. Chapter 3699. Everyone thought that he had a bomb strapped to him. But they didn't hear an explosion after so long. Could it be? Lu Yen got up from the ground. Sure enough. The thick white smoke hadn't dispersed yet, but Huasiqian was already gone. He must have run away when the smoke was thick. Lu Yen chased after him, but she only saw faint splashes in the sea. Damn it, I actually let you run away. Lu Yen didn't expect Jack to run away right under her nose. But she knew that she couldn't chase after him. Because the force behind Huasiqian couldn't be underestimated. It was a force that could save someone from her. Seeing Jack run away, Lu Yen went downstairs in a flash. She didn't even have time to say anything to An and the others. Then she returned to the cockpit, in the utility room on the 3rd floor. The 3 men waited for the smoke to disperse before they slowly got up, and was the first to get up. He looked around but didn't see the mysterious person. What happened? Were we killed by the explosion? Gao Ran was still in a daze. Where is this place? Where am I? Lord Su pretended to have lost his memory. Please, master, stop playing with. Huasiqian ran away. Can't you see? And was speechless. We saw it. What can we do? We didn't let him go. Hey, In, you seem to know the mysterious person just now. Who is it? Why are you so nervous? Su Yu had already guessed who it was, but he still teased and President Su, you don't have to ask me that. You know what I'm talking about. Xiao Nian bit her lips shyly. He was 100% sure that it was Lu Yen. So Lu Yen still came to Dr. Hu's birthday, right? And couldn't suppress the joy in his heart. What are you talking about? Gao Ran didn't seem to know anything. Nothing. Anyway, our mission is completed. Let's go and report to Qin Chu. Su Yu led the way downstairs. In the hall, the performance was still going on. No one knew what had happened outside. Qin Chu carried the 2 children into the cockpit. The surveillance footage returned to normal. Ian, who was far away in Southeast Asia, saw the peaceful scene on the cruise ship. Although he also felt that it was strange, he still couldn't decipher this set of strange images. Of course, this was because no one knew that the professor himself, a top genius, was here. Therefore, dealing with these trivial matters was naturally a piece of cake. After Su Yu and the others came out, they sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu and told him about Huasiqian's escape. Qin Chu only replied that they should return to the hall and continue watching the show. Everyone knew Qin Chu's character, so they didn't ask much. President Su, what is it? Su Yu smirked when he saw Xiao An's hesitant look. Can you ask Qin Chu? Ask what? Lu Yen. And really wanted to see Lu Yen. Yes, he had to at least say something to her. Qin Chu didn't mention it. Maybe it's not convenient for him to reveal it. If it's really Lu Yen, you'll have the chance to see her. And felt that his boss's words made sense, so he didn't say anything else. Then they went to the hall. Su Yu's wound was simply treated and everyone returned to their seats. Han Yueyao was happy to see Su Yu return. However, she found it strange when she saw how haggard and weak he looked. President Su, did you swim in the sea? Why do you look half dead? Han Yueyao was curious. Chapter 3700. Yeah, we even met a shark. We fought with the shark for a while. Ha. Keep bragging. Hearing Su Yu's words, Han Yueyao chuckled. Then without thinking they continued sitting in the living room. The unconscious Nia Lingxian was picked up by Lu Yen. Of course she was still unconscious. Liam was a weirdo. Afraid that she would miss the dumplings, she stuffed Nye Lingxian into the cockpit lounge. It wasn't big, but it wasn't noisy. Is this appropriate? Qin Chu frowned slightly. She won't wake up for a while. Don't worry. Why did you bring her back? Qin Chu didn't want more people to know that the professor and Lu Yen were here. She has research value. What kind of research value? Qin Chu was puzzled. I'll tell you after I finish the dumplings. Brother-in-law, huh? Qin Chu was speechless. Then Lu Yen tossed her into the cockpit. Huamin had already put the dumplings into the pot. The two children danced around their mommy and the professor, who had taken off his human skin mask. Grandpa, why didn't you tell me you were coming? Seriously, there was a hint of blame in Little Bean's words. It wouldn't be a surprise if I told you in advance. The professor held the chubby Little Bean. Grandpa, so good to see you. Pudding was also touched. You two seem to have grown taller. Like an ordinary old man, the professor surrounded the two children and looked at them carefully with doting eyes. Oh, the two little ones are here. Lu Yan's heart melted as soon as she entered the room. She didn't want to see the two little ones because time was tight. But Jack, that bastard, gave the two children teddy bears during the clown show. There were indeed things installed in the bears. The professor immediately took the two children and removed the teddy bear bombs. Then he took the opportunity to get close to his two granddaughters. Hearing Lu Yan's voice, the two children exploded. Lu Yan tore off the skin mask on her face. Below was a delicate face. Auntie, wow, what a series of surprises. Pudding and Little Bean rushed over. He hugged Lu Yan's leg. Did you see that? This is what it means to ride on someone's coattails. Huamin looked at Qin Chu and sighed. Qin Chu just smiled and didn't say anything. Then he silently helped Huamin clean up the mess after making the dumplings. Under such a dangerous atmosphere, it was not easy to have such a warm scene in the cockpit. Auntie, you're back. It's great. Auntie, I miss you so much. Auntie, you look so cute. Auntie, you've become prettier again. Aunt, why didn't you call me? Auntie, why did you sneak away last time? The two children instantly turned into chatterboxes. Even Pudding, who never liked to flatter, turned into Little Bean. They were full of praise for Lu Yen. Then the two children told each other how much they missed each other. How am I supposed to answer all your questions? Lu Yen smiled. Then answer them one by one. Chapter 3701. Right now. Give me a minute. Huamin stirred the steaming dumplings in the pot with a spoon. 1 minute later, sure enough, the white dumplings went abroad. Due to the lack of time, Huamin only made dumplings with meat fillings. The professor sat in the middle, followed by Qin Chu, Huamin, Lu Yen and the twins. There were 4 adults and 2 kids. Sitting at the table in the cockpit, they had their first reunion dinner. Do you want to take a selfie? Lu Yen asked, itching to take a selfie. Don't ask for it. The professor rolled his eyes at her. Hearing her dad's words, Lu Yen stuck out her tongue and didn't dare to say more. Huamin scooped out several plates of dumplings. Then he looked at his father guiltily. Dad, I'm sorry. You came in a hurry, so I didn't prepare any dishes. There are only dumplings. No, this is enough. Should I go to the dining room and get some dishes? Qin Chu was about to stand up. Don't go. The image has returned to normal. Someone will see you on the surveillance camera, Lu Yen reminded him. Qin Chu immediately understood what was going on. He nodded and sat down. Auntie, what do you mean? Who? What surveillance camera? Little Bean was a gossipy little diva, so she didn't understand the conversation between her dad and Auntie. Bad guys. They're afraid that bad guys will follow Dad and catch us. It's okay. Auntie, you're good at martial arts and can protect us. I'll give you 12 points for your flattery. Huamin couldn't help but laugh. Don't talk nonsense with Little Bean. She's the most talkative. Little Bean picked up a dumpling and put it in Lu Yan's bowl. Thank you, Big Pudding. Lu Yan rubbed Little Bean's head lovingly. Dad, eat. Every time Huamin called his dad, he felt touched. The professor also felt emotional. For an ordinary family, a family reunion and a meal of dumplings was very normal. But for a family like theirs, it was harder than ascending to heaven. Huamin knew this, and the professor knew it even better. After this meal, he didn't know when they would meet again. Pessimistically, he didn't know if Lu Yen, Huamin and the professor would still be alive the next time they met. After all, the current situation, had already been pushed to the teeth of the storm. However, Huamin knew that they were the best birthday present for her today. They were what she wanted the most and were the most important. Yan, is Qiaonan still with you? Qingchu asked casually. No, he was rescued by someone. But that cowardly tortoise doesn't dare to show his face yet. Afraid that you and Xiao Fei will kill him? I guess so. Hee. Lu Yan looked at Qiaonan with disdain. What about Xiao Fei's father? I don't care. Xiao Fei has been handling it himself. I believe he can handle it, Lu Yan said casually. At this moment Lu Yan suddenly thought of something. Chapter 3702. Dad, what's body modification? Huamin was also a medical student, but this term was new and unfamiliar to him. Body modification is an improvement on the basis of the original body, the professor replied calmly. Is that physical, mental, or purely physical or genetic? Huamin seemed to be very interested in this topic. It's all possible, but Hua Xiqian's case is hard to say. We haven't caught him yet, so we can't test it. Dad, let's not talk about this for now. The key thing is that there aren't many places in the world that can do such a thing. It seems like the power behind Hua Xiqian isn't an ordinary person. I should say that it's very powerful. For the first time, Lu Yan didn't speak highly of her opponent. That's right. I suspect that he didn't put the bomb in the teddy bear to explode. Maybe it was just a test. But if that's the case, we're in more danger because our opponent is not only powerful but also hiding in the dark. The professor analyzed calmly. So, their target is me, my sister, and you, Dad. Lu Yan knew that Hua Xiqian didn't come to the ship just to get revenge on her sister. The person behind him didn't just want to catch Huamin. In the end, he wanted the thing in her dad's hand. Dad, what's in your hand? Lu Yan wanted to talk about the mysterious object with the professor. But the professor interrupted her. Let's eat. It's rare for us to be together as a family. Let's not talk about this. It was obvious that the professor didn't like this topic. It was taboo for him. Even Huamin and Lu Yan, his biological daughter, didn't want to talk about it. Grandpa, what are you talking about? I don't understand, Little Bean complained. It's okay. You'll understand when you grow up. The professor smiled lovingly. Grandpa, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. Can you teach me? On a whim, Little Bean told him about her ambition to be a doctor. The professor was pleased. No wonder you're the descendant of a medical family. You're ambitious. You have a goal at such a young age. No, Grandpa, that's not why I became a doctor. That's... The professor was confused as he looked at his chubby granddaughter. Me. I just want to practice using the scalpel. If anyone dares to bully me, I'll cut them open. Professor, Huamin, Qingchu was speechless. Lu Yan laughed. Huamin, hubby, take care of your daughter. She's making me lose face. Huamin covered his face in embarrassment. She didn't know that Little Bean was going to be a doctor. She had no idea that a doctor wanted to operate on her enemy. Lu Yan laughed so hard that she was no longer in the mood to eat dumplings. Puzzled, Little Bean looked around at the adults with strange expressions. Especially when the corner of Grandpa's mouth twitched slightly. Is it funny? Little Bean was confused. Ah, that's funny. Little Bean, you're such a genius. Lu Yan continued to laugh. Everyone stop laughing. I'm serious. Little Bean pouted, still a little angry. Little Bean, if it's because of this, I won't be a doctor. If anyone bullies you, Daddy will protect you. Qingchu looked at his daughter with a gentle expression and taught her with great care. How can that be? Daddy will grow old and die. He can't protect me forever, Little Bean said confidently. Chapter 3703. You're good at analyzing the future. Qingchu was exasperated. His daughter was so smart that she was almost a fairy. It's okay. Even if Daddy is gone, you still have Gao Boyun, right? Huamin pretended to be calm and continued to talk nonsense with his daughter. Mommy, you're so smart. How can you say something like that? Little Bean couldn't believe it. Huamin, Little Bean, men are unreliable. What if Boyun abandons me when he meets a prettier girl? So I can't pin my hopes on him. Huamin, Qingchu, Lu Yan, sis, do you think my analysis is right? In the end, Little Bean glanced at Pudding, who was silent beside her, with a happy expression. You're right. You're right. Sis, I told you. When Daddy and Mommy are old and gone, you'll be the closest person to me in the world. Little Bean flattered. What do you want to do? Pudding knew this girl wouldn't flatter her for no reason. Sis, you're rich. You can sponsor me with money. Don't even think about it. I made all my money by trading stocks. It has nothing to do with you. Pudding refused to give her money. Daddy, did you hear that? Yes. Chin Chu nodded cooperatively. So, Daddy, when you make your will, you can give me more money. After all, I can make money by myself. Pudding. Chin Chu. Little guy, are you done fooling around? Do you want to make me laugh to death? Standing beside Little Bean, Lu Yen pinched Little Bean's cheeks lovingly. This little guy was talking so much nonsense. It turned out that he wanted to get more wills. This reason was really ridiculous. At this moment, a subordinate's voice came from her earpiece. Lu Yen had finished eating and stood up. I'm done. I'm going to get some fresh air. You guys enjoy your meal. Huamin looked at Yen with a heavy heart. Where are you going? Nothing, sis. I'm really just getting some fresh air. Lu Yen smiled and walked out of the cabin door. However, Huamin knew in his heart that she was definitely not just here to get some fresh air. Sure enough, Lu Yen put on the human skin mask and the crew uniform and walked onto the deck. Then he entered Ian's line of sight. There was one of the biggest cameras he had installed in this area. Of course, it couldn't be seen visually, but it was a wide-angle, one of the main surveillance images. At first, Ian didn't find Lu Yan's appearance strange. After all, she was just an ordinary sailor. But gradually the image on the screen changed. Disguised as a sailor, Lu Yan danced on the deck. Moreover, it was a particularly wacky dance that involved shaking one's buttocks. With her back facing the camera, she twisted her butt and danced with joy. From time to time he would raise his middle finger on both hands. It seemed unintentional, but at this moment Ian's expression had already changed. Sir, we'll arrange for snipers to kill this guy from afar. Everyone thought that he was a lunatic. Chapter 3704. Sir, our men have, go on. Ian's face turned gloomier as he listened to his subordinates stuttering. They've all been killed. Ian didn't say anything. Sir, this is too sudden. We were still on the phone 15 minutes ago and they were still on standby. But now we can't contact them. Their communication devices are also broken. Ian didn't want to listen to these explanations at all. He glanced at the surveillance footage and saw that the young sailor had already turned around. It was a very unfamiliar face. He had never seen it before. But that sailor seemed to know that he was watching him. He smiled and said something to him on the surveillance camera. Because it was Chinese, he spoke very quickly and didn't hear him clearly. Get someone who understands Chinese and translate it for me. What did he say? 5 minutes later. The translator stood beside Ian, trembling with fear. Sir, what did that person mean by his words? He said, obviously it wasn't anything good. Even the translator didn't dare to say it. If you don't want to die, hurry up and say it. Ian finally lost his patience. He stood up and grabbed the translator's neck with one hand. I'll say it, I'll say it. Sir, that person said that you'll always be as stupid as a pig. Ian, everyone thought that the boss would explode in anger and that a storm would be inevitable. But he didn't. Ian smiled and sat down. My little vixen. How are you so smart? Why didn't I think of you coming? Ian muttered to himself. His subordinates listened ambiguously, but they didn't dare to ask again. Then 50 seconds later, the surveillance footage on Ian's side was all cut off. Sir, I'll go find a hacker to fix it now. No need. Ian reached out to stop him. The images that we saw were what she wanted us to see. Lin Sanji said. Ian already knew that Lu Yen was behind everything. He might as well admit defeat. This time. However, he had to find time to settle the score with Lu Yen for the dead snipers. Satisfied, Lu Yen went back to her cabin. Chin Chu brought the two children back to the hall and coaxed them to get fruits for their grandfather. At this moment, only Huamin, Lu Yen and the professor were left in the room. Dad, what's wrong with this woman? Lu Yen remembered that Nye Lingxian was still unconscious when she dragged her in. The professor walked over and raised his hand to lift her eyelids. He looked at her pupils and then felt her pulse. Then he said with certainty, she was hypnotized. Hypnosis? Huamin was slightly startled. This was something she had never thought of. Yes, it's a very advanced technique called deep hypnosis. This kind of hypnosis can last for a very long time, up to more than 10 days. Then, in the depths of her brain, there's another person controlling it. How do I explain it? It's like another soul has entered this body. The professor tried to put it simply. What about the original soul? Where is this person's original personality? It has fallen into a deep sleep. What should we do? Will she wake up? She's my friend's sister. Dad, please save her. Thinking that Nye Lingxian had been tampered with, Huamin couldn't bear to see anything happen to Cici's sister, so he begged the professor in a panic. Chapter 3705. It's not a big problem. He's just hypnotized. I'll make her some medicine. Give it to her. The professor took out his medicine bag and quickly made the medicine. Sis, when will your medical skills be as good as Dad's? I thought he was the reincarnation of Hua Tuo. Huh. Lu Yan joked. I'm not that smart. Even if I die of exhaustion, I won't be able to reach Dad's level. Huamin knew the professor's medical skills very well. Soon, the professor handed a light pink bottle to Huamin. Give it to her. She'll wake up in an hour. Also, when she wakes up, she might not realize what happened during the hypnosis. Don't be surprised. Dad, the people behind Huasiqian are really despicable. How could they use such a despicable method to embarrass themselves? Lu Yan didn't think it was a big deal. No, they are very powerful. I have not seen such deep hypnosis for more than 10 years. You two sisters, from today onwards, you must be even more careful than before. Those people will not let this matter rest. The professor and Lu Yan didn't plan to stay for long. Lu Yan's subordinate drove the submarine to the cruise ship. Boss, we can go now. Her subordinate's voice came from her earpiece. Lu Yan looked at the professor. That we should go now. So soon? Huamin was a bit unprepared. To be more precise, he was reluctant to leave. Soon? According to the original plan, Dad and I would stay for at most an hour. Now an hour has passed. We ate dumplings and danced. Lu Yan's eyes were full of smiles. Hey, I know it's not easy for you to come here. I won't stay any longer. Anyways, Dad, Yan, you two are the best birthday presents for me today. Shouldn't I hug you here? Lu Yan interrupted. With tears in his eyes, Huamin walked up to Lu Yan and gave her a big hug. Although Huamin wanted to go forward and hug her father, she saw the professor standing there with a serious face, so she didn't dare to go over. Just wait for the birth. Listen to brother-in-law. You might not know how much trouble brother-in-law and I helped you solve on the ship today. In short, you're in a very dangerous situation now. I know. Huamin nodded obediently. Go. The professor wanted to say something else, but he remembered that Mian was a calm person, so he didn't say anything. Therefore, he turned around and left through the secret passage. Dad, you have to take care of yourself. Huamin couldn't help but shout as he looked at the old man's back. The professor only hummed in acknowledgement, but he did not turn around. Then he and Lu Yan jumped into the sea through the secret tunnel. Lu Yan's subordinates welcomed them into the submarine. Huamin knew that the three of them did not feel good about being separated like this. However, as long as those bad people were alive, the three of them would not be able to enjoy the happiness of a family reunion. After the professor left, Huamin had no time to feel sad. He fed Nye Lingxian the potion the professor made. Sure enough, she woke up in less than 20 minutes. Doctor, why are you here? Nye Lingxian's voice was soft, just like before. It's my birthday party. Party? Why am I here? The professor was right. Nye Lingxian couldn't remember anything. At least she had lost all her memories during the hypnosis. Chapter 3706. You really don't remember anything? Nye Lingxian stood up slowly. He was still confused. Don't worry. Think about it slowly. What's the last thing you remember? Huamin slowly explained to her. I remember. I was in Los Angeles. I went for coffee, and then... I don't remember anything. The last thing Nye Lingxian remembered was drinking coffee in a coffee shop in Los Angeles. Obviously, someone had done something to her at that time. The coffee was drugged and she was taken away to be hypnotized. Then she went to New Orleans, saw Cici and asked for an invitation. At that time, Nye Lingxian was already under someone's control. Thinking of this, Huamin felt scared. Dr. Hua, what happened? Nie Lingshuan's eyes were filled with fear. She remembered that she was in the United States. Why was she on a cruise ship? And she was in China. Why didn't she remember when she came back? Miss Nie, I can't explain it in a few words, so you have to remember what I'm going to say next. Okay. Don't talk about this anymore. Don't tell anyone, not even your agent, and don't mention anything about your return to China. You'd better book a plane ticket and go back as soon as possible. Just pretend that nothing happened. Also, in the future you have to send more bodyguards. Seems that some people with bad intentions are targeting you. Of course, I suggest you go to New Orleans to accompany Cece. She's pregnant and has nothing to do there. Also, the security at Rick's house is top-notch. Of course, these are just some suggestions I'm giving you. Thank you, Dr. Hua. Nie Lingxian knew that Huamin might be hiding something from her, but she knew that Huamin wouldn't hurt her. Then Huamin walked Nie Lingxian out and went to the living room. Seeing Huamin return and was the first one who couldn't sit still. President Hua. Yeah. Where's Lu Yen? And couldn't wait. Keith left. Huamin wanted to say that Lu Yen had never been here, but since an asked he must have seen something, so he decided not to lie. Left? So fast? Shaoan found it hard to believe. And you know Yan's identity, don't you? Yes. Then you should know that she has a lot of enemies. I know. So the longer she stays here, the more dangerous it will be for her. Yes, I understand. Her return is a secret and I hope you won't tell anyone. I won't tell you. It's just a pity that I didn't get to see her and the food. And lowered his head in disappointment. Ever since he found out about Lu Yan's identity, he had given up on his wishful thinking. He just wanted to see her, but it turned out that just seeing her was so extravagant. I'm sorry. If there's a chance, I'll give it to her the next time she comes back. All right. And nodded. Just as he was about to turn around, he suddenly thought of something and turned to Huamin. President Hua, President Su is injured. Injured? When? Chapter 3707. She was also puzzled by Huamin's attitude towards Suyu. That shouldn't be the case. Huamian was always kind to everyone. Not to mention Suyu, who was so close to him. Dr. Hua, what can I do for you? Suyu followed Huamin out anxiously. Then, he couldn't help but ask tentatively. However, Dr. Hua didn't say anything and just led the way. Then Lord Su suddenly felt that something was wrong. Huamin's expression didn't look right. Suyu followed her until they reached the door of Huamin's private lounge. Huamin stopped in his tracks. Before he could speak, Suyu glanced at the room awkwardly and then looked at Huamin. Dr. Hua. This isn't a good idea? Huamin crossed his arms and bit his lip as he looked at Suyu without speaking. Although I'm tall, strong, handsome, and unparalleled, you have a husband. If we do this, we'll be letting President Qin down. What are you talking about? Huamin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Besides, you're so pregnant now. I'm not interested in pregnant women. I'm sorry. Huamin. So, Dr. Hua, I'm going to disappoint you this time. I can't do anything to let President Qin down. With that, Suyu turned around and found an excuse to leave. Stop right there, Huamin suddenly roared. Suyu was so scared that he immediately stopped in his tracks. Damn it. He wanted to fool him, so he deliberately made up nonsense. But to his surprise, Huamin didn't seem to let him go. Come in with me, Huamin said and opened the door. I don't think it's a good idea. If someone sees us. Suyu pretended to be in a difficult position. In fact, he was afraid that Huamin would punish him. Shut up and come in. Huamian was swift and decisive, and she didn't hold back at all. Suyu had no choice but to silently follow Huamin into the room. Sit there. Huamin pointed at the head of the bed. I'll stand. I'm not tired. Do you believe it or not? I'll make you cry. Huamin's threat. Sure enough, Suyu obediently sat down on the edge of the bed upon hearing her words. Then Huamin turned around and took out the medicine kit. Ever since he became a doctor, he became more aware of his own safety. Whether he was on a business trip or on a trip, a medicine kit was indispensable. Especially after having twins, he often had some fever medicine, cold medicine, and anti-inflammatory medicine at home. Looking at Huamin's medicine kit, Suyu finally understood why Huamin asked him to come. This one has such a big mouth. I'm going to slap him when I get out. Suyu sighed. I really want to slap you, Huamin said angrily. Suyu was speechless. Why didn't you say you were injured? It's just a small injury. Plus, I'm a man. Do I have to cry and tell everyone I'm injured? Suyu laughed. You're such an idiot. Huamin shook his head helplessly. Facing the woman in front of him, even if she called him an idiot, Suyu couldn't talk back. Chapter 3708. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Hurry up and take it off. Dr. Hui, you're very rude tonight. Suyu couldn't help but laugh. Although he knew that Huamin's attitude was bad, he still felt warm. After all, Huamin was angry because he was injured. I'm already being nice to you. If it weren't for your injury, I would have kicked you a few more times. Huamin was angry. He had known Suyu for a long time and they couldn't be more familiar with each other. However, in such a situation he was injured, but he didn't say anything. Huamin felt that as a friend he shouldn't do that. Suyu took off his clothes and the wound on his ribs that Nya Lingxian had scratched was immediately exposed. Although it was just a superficial wound, the wound was relatively long and the blood was a little dry. It still looked very hideous. I'll help you disinfect it first. It might hurt a little. Bear with it. Huamin picked up the disinfectant iodophor, dipped a small pair of tweezers in the medical cotton, and gently wiped Suyu's ribs. At that moment Suyu felt warmth all over his body. It seemed that he hadn't been so close to Huamin for a long time. Huamin's technique was very professional. Perhaps he was afraid of hurting Suyu, so he was very gentle. He was very careful and kept his eyes on the wound. Therefore he didn't notice the change in Suyu's eyes. Suyu lowered his head and looked at Huamin's serious face. At that moment he almost couldn't help but want to brush away the hair on her forehead. However, this action was too intimate. He was really afraid that Huamin would feel awkward. Therefore, even though he really wanted to, he held back in the end, and said that other than here, where else are you injured? It's just that when I was wrestling with Huasiqian, my ankle was entangled by the steel wire. It's not really an injury. It's fine, you don't have to treat it. Before Suyu could finish his words, Huamin squatted down and pulled up Suyu's trousers. Because of her pregnancy, it was extremely inconvenient for her to squat down. Suyu immediately helped her up. No. I'll do it myself. It's not convenient for a pregnant woman like you to squat down. Don't affect the baby. After that, Suyu revealed the ankle that had been injured by the Huasiqian's steel wire lock. Fortunately, it wasn't very serious. He could vaguely see a red mark. Jack has always been despicable. I'm afraid he poisoned you. Let me deal with it for you. After that, Huamin used disinfectant to carefully clean Suyu's wounds. Finally, he bandaged his injured ribs with gauze. Finally, he was done. No wonder you're a highly acclaimed miracle doctor. Even your bandaging skills are so good. You're amazing. Suyu gave him a thumbs up. Don't flatter me. In the future, if you don't tell me when you're injured, you'll die. Haha, I'm just thinking that it's not serious. I'm not a woman, I'm not that pretentious. Chapter 3709. Yen, she's indeed back. It's really her. Where is she? She left. So fast. Yeah. But our boat hasn't docked yet. How did she leave? Was it the same as sending Yelingxian off? A speedboat? See, I can't explain everything about Yen in a short time. I'll tell you later. Don't ask. Don't misunderstand. I'm not interested in Lu Yen. It's Mr. and I know. And asked me about it. Sure enough, this guy is really... Suyu couldn't help but laugh. Are you thirsty? I'll get you a glass of water. Huamin suddenly asked gently. So nice. Dr. Hua, do you have a favor to ask of me? Suyu wasn't used to Huamin suddenly being so nice to him. Yes. I want to take one of your kidneys. Will you give it to me? Huamin said angrily. Suyu. Huamin actually had mixed feelings about Suyu. Most of all, he felt guilty. Suyu was always at the forefront of her family's affairs. This time, Suyu was duty-bound to hunt down Huasiqian because of Qin Chu's words. She felt that Lord Su was really loyal. So she really wanted to treat him better. Even though she had deliberately kept a distance from him before, she still wanted to treat him better. Suyu was a good man among good men. After Zheng Ro failed to eavesdrop, she could only wait for death. However, she was still a person who didn't want to be left out. She saw Suyu follow Huamin out and sneakily follow behind them. Then she saw the two of them walk into the room together. At first she was a little surprised. Then she smiled strangely. In the hall, the performance had finished. It was time for the buffet. Tang Chuan was very generous. The ingredients he chose were all Huamin's favorite seafood dishes. Any table would cost an astronomical price. After taking care of the two children, Qin Chu planned to settle down the people who had been dealt with on the ship. She bumped into Xing Ro. Chairman Qin. What's the matter, Miss Xing? Qin Chu had always been extremely cold to women other than Huamin. Do you know where Huamin is now? Qin Chu didn't say anything. He knew that she had more to say. To be honest, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed that she and Suyu. If you have something to say it all at once. My time is a bit precious. Qin Chu didn't have a good impression of this woman, so he didn't have any patience. Lu Yen had put an anti-eavesdropping device in her bag. As long as she got off the ship and contacted her boss, Lu Yen would be able to find out who Xing Ro worked for. I saw Huamin and Suyu together. They went into a room. So what? Qin Chu's face was calm as if this had nothing to do with him. President Qin, you can't be that generous, right? You know that Suyu has always had feelings for Huamian. The two of them went to a room together. Miss Zheng, don't meddle in their affairs. Whatever happens between them has nothing to do with you. You're not Suyu's subordinate. Even if you're jealous, Han Yueyao should tell me, not you. Qin Chu's words hit Xing Ro hard. Her words made Xing Ro speechless as if she had swallowed a fly. President Qin, I'm just reminding you. Thank you for your kindness, but I don't need it. Don't you want to see what they're doing in the room? Even if they're friends, why do they have to talk in the room? Xing Ro deliberately raised her voice to attract the attention of the people around them. Qin Chu's face turned darker and darker, thinking, this woman is really vicious. Chapter 37:10. Xing Ro, what on earth do you want? If you want to drive a wedge between us, I advise you to save it. Qin Chu's eyes were extremely cold. He thought the person standing before him was a woman. If he didn't see her, she would have been lying on the ground by now. President Qin, how can you think like that? I'm good friends with Dr. Hua. How can I drive a wedge between them? I just think, she and Suyu are alone in the room. What's the matter? Xing Ro's unreasonable behavior attracted more and more onlookers. Qin Chu wasn't a hot-tempered man. Otherwise, he would have thrown Xing Ro into the sea to feed the sharks. Before Qin Chu could speak, the door to the innermost lounge opened. Suyu walked out with Huamin. Xing Ro, if you have any grudges, just come at me. Don't give my husband a hard time. He's worked hard for my birthday party, so I don't want to bother him with random things. With a smile, Huamin took Qin Chu's arm. Mion, what are you talking about? That's not what I meant. I just think you're a married woman. You went into the room alone with Suyu in front of so many people. Those who know will know that you're good friends, but those who don't know will think more. I'm doing this for your own good. Xing Ro continued to play innocent. I'm sorry. The whole world knows that Lord Su and I are good friends. You're the only one who doesn't know. Suyu finally couldn't stand it anymore and looked at Xing Ro coldly. What's the matter? I'm just curious. Why can't you talk outside with Dr. Hua? Why do you have to go to the room? Xing Ro didn't let go of this point. Embarrassing Huamian and Qin Chu wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that he was jealous. Why did Suyu only have eyes for Huamin? She didn't even care about Han Yueyao. But this average-looking woman who was pregnant could make Suyu fall head over heels for her. God was unfair. Xing Ro, don't you think it's a bit dirty? I'm injured and Huamin is a doctor. He helped me treat the wound. Really? Xing Ro didn't believe him. Then the rest of the people gathered around to watch. Everyone was whispering. Now that Xing Ro had made such a fuss, the impact was indeed not good. Young Master Su, forget it. You don't have to explain so much. Your girlfriend didn't even say anything. Why do you have to explain to someone who has nothing to do with you? With a sneer, Xing Ro's is irrelevant. Xing Ro knew that Huamian had a sharp tongue and could humiliate people without using any dirty words. She had the ability to do so. I don't care if she's irrelevant or not. She can't slander me. Infuriated, Suyu lifted his shirt. The gauze under his ribs was clearly visible. Then his ankle. The onlookers were surprised. I was unlucky today. I accidentally got injured, so I had to treat my wound. If this can still be misunderstood, then I can only say that someone is blind. Alright, let's not stand here anymore. We've seen enough of this farce, so let's disperse. As for you, come with me. Suyu pointed at Zheng Ro rudely. Zheng Ro smiled disapprovingly and followed Suyu out. Huamin's eyes were complicated. Zheng Ro was really an uncontrollable factor. When she was useful, she was really useful, but when she was annoying, she was really annoying. Honey, Huamin looked up at Qin Chu and wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. Chapter 37:11. You don't have to explain. I believe you. Qin Chu thought Huamin was going to explain to him about Suyu. Huamin was exasperated. It's not about that. We've known each other for so many years. I don't need to explain. Zheng Ro is so strange. She hid her true colors well. When she saved me last time, I almost believed her. If Yen hadn't found out that she used a bug on me, I wouldn't have known that she was so cunning. But why would such a cautious person turn against me because of Suyu and me? Shouldn't she pretend to be friends with me to get more information? Huamin analyzed Zheng Ro's actions calmly. A woman's heart can't be judged rationally. Maybe she's sincere to Suyu? Of course, Qin Chu was just guessing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to figure out a woman like Zheng Ro. First, he didn't know who was behind Zheng Ro, at least not yet. Second, did Zheng Ro approach Huamin to eavesdrop on Huamin, or did she have a higher goal? Thirdly, with her current position, should she pretend to be friends, or should she tear him apart? Huamin and Qin Chu couldn't see through such a contradictory person. You're right. This strange phenomenon reminds me of something from a long time ago. Huamin said quietly. Which thing? Honey, in high school there was a girl named Yuli in our class. Do you remember her? No, Mr. Qin answered without hesitation. Huamin was speechless. He had never cared about people he didn't care about. That chubby girl. She came from a good family. Her parents owned a chain of fast food restaurants. I still don't remember. Huamin. Okay, then I'll get to the point. When I first came to class, I didn't know anyone, and the atmosphere in our class had always been cold and distant. So I didn't have many friends. At the time, I wasn't close to Lingling, so I hung out with Yuli for a while. He was really nice to me back then. You know, I wasn't pretty and my family wasn't rich, so I couldn't figure out why she wanted to get close to me. So out of sincerity, I treated her really well. But later, I accidentally overheard her talking about me with other girls in the girls' restroom. She used words like poor bastard, down and out, taking advantage of others and eating and using her things. I was shocked. She did treat me to food often, but I didn't take advantage of her. But I didn't expect her to talk about me like that. I racked my brains, but I still couldn't figure out why she would do that. Even when I had a cold and sneezed, she would ask for leave to buy medicine. But she didn't stop complaining to other people. I thought about it for a long time, but I still couldn't figure it out. You're right. Maybe she has a split personality. Qin Chu was confused. Sometimes the friendship between girls wasn't as good as plastic flowers. Later, I thought Yuli was a contradictory person. On the one hand, she was nice to me and enjoyed the fact that she was a good friend. On the other hand, she kept slandering me. She made everyone think that I was a bad person. What she did was meaningless, so I wondered if Zheng Ro's behavior just now. Before Huamin could finish, Qin Chu nodded in agreement. It's totally possible, but Zheng Ro obviously has a higher EQ, so we must be careful. In a remote corner of a corridor on the cruise ship, Suyu brought Zheng Ro here. If you have something to say it here. Zheng Ro's tone wasn't friendly. Zheng Ro, are you going to ruin me for the rest of my life because I didn't accept your pursuit? Suyu turned his head and asked with a sneer. Zheng Ro was surprised. She hadn't expected Suyu to have such a dark side. Chapter 37:12. Lord Su, you're exaggerating. Don't talk nonsense with me. I didn't say anything about your attitude toward Han Yueyao, but Suyu paused in the middle of the sentence. Zheng Ro sneered and continued. But Huamin can't do that because she's the one in your heart. So you can't let her suffer a little. Right? Then your decent girlfriend is just cannon fodder. I really pity her just like me. Now I finally know why the women around you hate Huamin to the core. Because, you're a stupid man. Who would like Huamin if you treat her like this? When you look at her you look like you're looking at God. Zheng Rou's tone was full of sarcasm. She was indeed unhappy. Why could Huamin still be doted on when he was like that? And no matter what she did, Suyu wouldn't look at her. She thought that Suyu had a good impression of her after living in his mansion for so long. But, let's not talk about Huamin. Zheng Rou, what do you want? Nothing. Lord Su, what are you talking about? You sound like you've been wronged. Zheng Rou, don't think that I don't dare to touch you because of your father's status. He was a bit annoyed. He couldn't tolerate this woman's attitude and her actions. Of course I know you don't care about my father. Who are you? You're the young master of the Su family. In such a prominent family my father's position is nothing. So I don't use my father's position to do anything bad. Then don't you think I'm too kind? Suyu glared. But, I don't. Zheng Rou, your uncle is still in Qinchuan prison, right? Suyu suddenly said something that had nothing to do with their current topic. At the mention of her uncle and Qinchuan prison, Zheng Rou's eyes changed. How did you know? Haha, if I want to investigate your family I can investigate all your ancestors. You know why your uncle was arrested and so do I. With your father's current position, there's no way he can save him. Your uncle's case is neither big nor small, but if it's serious he can be executed immediately. So don't try to find fault with me. I've been very kind to you. I don't owe you anything. If you push me too far not only will I kill your uncle but I can also drag your father down. I can investigate your father's background for 3 days and 3 nights. Enough, don't say any more. Zheng Rou had never thought that Suyu would investigate her background one day. Moreover, Suyu's power was terrifying. Of course, it wasn't all because of his grandfather and father. Suyu also had his own methods. In the Zheng family, Zheng Rou's uncle was taboo. Back then she had risked her life to do things for the chief because that person could save her uncle's life. But now Suyu had grasped her weakness. I really didn't think that you would threaten me one day. Zheng Rou gritted her teeth, no longer as arrogant as before. I don't want to either, but you've gone too far. Zheng Rou, you have to give face to people. Otherwise you'll end up in a bad position. What do you think? Then Suyu smiled and took out a cigarette, lighting it up handsomely. Zheng Rou admitted that Suyu had his unique charisma. Even though Suyu was a little evil, she still couldn't let go. She still wanted this man. Chapter 37:13. Suyu and Zheng Rou talked for a long time. This time no one knew what they talked about. However, when Huamin saw Zheng Rou come out, his face turned livid. Then he saw her and walked away. Zheng Rou probably knew that Huamin and Qinchu didn't trust her. So, after failing to eavesdrop, she didn't plan to continue pretending. She might as well shed all pretense of cordiality. After dealing with these things, Suyu returned to the living room to eat. Seeing Suyu return, Han Yueao walked up to him. You don't seem to have eaten much. What do you want to eat? I'll get it for you. No, I'm not hungry. Suyu looked unhappy. What's wrong? Were you scolded by Sister Mion? Han Yueao thought that Suyu was unhappy because Huamin told him to go out and teach him a lesson. Don't make wild guesses if you don't understand. It's just to show how smart you are. Hey, did you eat gunpowder? Shoot whoever you see. Han Yueao felt like she had walked into a trap for no reason. In the corner of the living room, Qin Chu's mother and Qin Ning were coaxing the twins. The 2 children were crying silently. No matter what was asked, they wouldn't answer. They didn't eat the food she gave them. Mrs. Qin was so anxious. Oh, my little sweetheart. What's going on? Everything was fine, what's going on? Pudding, why are you as noisy as Little Bean? What's wrong with you two? Qin Ning squatted before the twins and asked carefully. Andy, I'm a little upset. Don't mind me. I'll be fine after crying for a while. Hearing Pudding's words, Qin Ning didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Little ancestors, today is your mommy's birthday. Such a happy day. How can you not cry? Go ahead and cry. When Mion comes, she'll teach you a lesson. Mrs. Qin was a little angry and decided to ignore them. Speaking of the devil, she saw Huamin and Qin Chu walk over. Just don't cry. Mommy is here. Sure enough, when Little Bean saw her mommy, she stopped crying immediately like a mouse seeing a cat. She didn't forget to remind her sister. It's the same even if mommy comes. Said. The tears are mine. Who did I offend when I cried? Pudding was a stubborn person. She usually looked calm, but once she got into a dead end, it was really hard to persuade her. What's going on? Chin Chu was worried about his daughter, so he walked a few steps faster than Huamin and came over. Okay, now that your parents are here, I'll go to the side first. Seeing that her son and daughter-in-law were here, old madam didn't say much. She pulled Qin Ning to make room for Qin Chu and Huamin. Qin Ning doted on her nieces, so she didn't forget to remind them before she left. Brother, sister-in-law, don't scold them. Be patient. I know they're my biological children. Do I need you to teach them? Qin Chu also thought Qin Ning's words were funny. Tell me what's going on. Huamin stood in front of the two children and asked calmly. Mommy, I miss Grandpa and Auntie. But I know they're gone. Who told you? Huamin calmly asked the crying little bean. Sis said you purposely sent us away because Grandpa and Auntie are gone. Yes, they're gone. Huamin didn't hide it. It was better if he didn't say it. After hearing this, Pudding and Little Bean froze. Then the two sisters looked at each other and cried even more intensely. The twins loved Grandpa, but they loved Auntie Lu Yen even more. Every time the children felt that their time together was too short and not enough. Therefore they found it hard to accept parting. Huamin and Qin Chu understood this feeling. So, are you going to cry until tomorrow morning? Huamin continued to interrogate them. Chapter 37:14. The twins looked at each other and didn't dare to say a word. Good. You like to cry, right? Mion, Qin Chu couldn't stand it anymore. He pulled Huamin aside and pleaded for his daughters. Honey, don't get involved in this. Huamin warned Mr. Qin in a serious tone. Then the two kids realized the situation was getting serious. Mommy. Little Bean was about to beg for mercy. Shut up. Listen to me. You two like to cry, right? Don't you like to use your tears to gain sympathy? Very good. Come on, keep crying. Whoever stops first loses. The loser will cancel all 8 days of vacation next month and go to English classes. Little Bean, Pudding, Mommy, you're kidding, right? Little Bean stopped crying and looked at Huamin in horror. I never joke with my children. The countdown starts now. Come on, cry. I'll watch you two and see who wins. Pudding and Little Bean stopped crying immediately. This method worked, but it was too cruel. You're not crying anymore, right? Then you both lose. You'll go to English classes next month. Mommy, we were wrong. No. It's useless to know you were wrong. You have to pay for your mistakes. But we're kids. We're still young. Little Bean argued. You're so young, but you know how to use this method to make things difficult for adults. What will you do when you grow up? Huamin glared at them. Little Bean, Pudding, Mommy, don't be so unreasonable. It's your birthday today. Can't you give amnesty to everyone? Perhaps she had watched too many Qing dynasty dramas, but Little Bean's words almost made Huamian laugh. I always do what I say. Huamin deliberately kept a straight face. Daddy, please say something, Lin Chujio said. Little Bean couldn't stand it. If her 1-month vacation was cancelled, she wouldn't be able to go out with Buyun for a month. She didn't want that. Honey, forget it. Our daughters didn't do anything wrong. So you're saying that I was wrong? Huamin tilted his head and looked at Qin Chu. Oh no. It's my fault. As a father, it's my fault. I didn't educate him well. Qin Chu didn't dare to provoke Huamin. Today was his birthday and he only celebrated his birthday once a year. At this moment, Pudding, who had been silent all this time, took out a small brocade box from behind her. Mommy, happy birthday. Ugh, Huamin didn't know what to do. The child took out a birthday present without warning. The packaging was also very exquisite. Qin Zhao, you're shameless. You went behind my back. You. Little Bean was furious when she saw her sister's gift. Why didn't she know anything about it? Pudding, what's this? Qin Chu was also curious. His daughters were so young. What kind of present could it be? Mommy said that I won't accept any presents this year. Huamin didn't seem to want to accept it. After all, if he accepted their gifts, how could he continue to reprimand the two lawless little monkeys? Mommy, it's not an expensive present. I made it myself. Really? You made it? Hearing that it was made by hand, Huamin's interest was piqued. He carefully took the little box from Pudding's hand. Pudding was so angry that she wanted to eat her sister. She looked at Pudding as if she was a traitor. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.